So for the next match, we have Psychotic Tendencies versus Afterlife. Psychotic Tendencies is favoring a heavy Newt and brawling blaster comp, and we've got Afterlife in a bit of a meta from 2015. Chester?
Yeah, again, the double Fleet Typhoons, Eos Guardian, double Confessor with the Purifier and Cruor. Match is beginning now. Mod, what are you thinking about the Balgorn used to kind of like pull ships in with a full blaster comp? Are you liking their chances against Afterlife?
The Balgorn can actually manage to hold something down and then pin it down for the blaster boats to get on top of. I like it. If the Afterlife can manage to successfully screen off any sort of the blaster boats from doing appreciable damage to them, then I'm not sure. But so far, we've got the Fleet Typhoon of Afterlife being Hexgram neuted and all the tackles on it being fully repped, and they're trading so far against the Navy Brutix of Ivy Lash. What do you think about a Navy Brutix for Fleet Typhoon?
I think Navy Brutix is interesting. They can have a ton of links on their team, double Brutix, double Navy Brutix, so that's possibly at least 4 links if they possibly can do more on one if they want to drop. But I really like the Phobos in this comp. I really like it because I'm sure that Faffy Waffy in the Navy Brutix is crying right now because he got scrammed at 35 from a very fast Phobos, and of course the Balgorn Webs plus Newts. This team is very hard to run away from, and I think this is the kind of composition where you want to have a Phobos in your group because this team needs to get close, it needs to get on top of you, and it doesn't want to be kited, and a Phobos is going to stop that from happening. What I don't like, though, is, again, Phobos is 13 points, and when you have the ability to have Cruors, why do you pick the Phobos with only, the Scram? Slipples down. Psychotic Tendencies, though, with only Tech 2 Friglogy, can they do this mod?
I'm not sure. So far, Psychotic Tendencies has lost an Enyo, and a second one is about to pop. We had Ivy Lash pop as well. I think
That's
that
Navy Brutix. Navy Brutix. Much more painful than an Enyo.
Yeah, definitely. So, actually, as I say that, the Enyo is holding on to just a sliver of structure so far. I think what Afterlife needs to do is they need to snowball, take the blaster damage off. Once they've done that, keep the Guardian at range and be able to just outlast everything on grid. So far, though, the Guardian's getting jammed and he's got newts on him, and we can see one of the Confessors is taking a lot of damage. Let's see if he can keep him up.
So this is an interesting thing to note here. The Guardian, because it's armor reps, has a long enough optimal and is probably very thankful that his optimal's long enough to basically sit on far Balgorn fall off, which allows him to still provide the repping power to Afterlife. And because Psychotic only has 2 Deacons, which I think Afterlife is completely ignoring, which I think is smart in their comp, they're going to be struggling as they lose DPS faster and faster, especially that Navy Brutix dying so quickly. Very painful. I think the Deacon's probably out of range. One of them is held down now by a Confessor. The Afterlife is just going to keep snowballing this advantage of better reps and just a better composition. The issue with Tech 2 Friglogy is T3Ds, and I think you have a few things to say about T3Ds in the tournament, at least support wings wise. What do you think?
Yeah, Tech 3 Destroyers are going to be essentially the linchpin of the Afterlife setup. If they're running cruise missiles, what they can do is they can paint and they can successfully hold on to something. And when you have that held down, the cruises will apply their full damage. And when you do that to anything larger than, say, an assault frigate, that is massive alpha that comes onto a grid. And the Tech 3 Destroyers are also able to do an excellent job at picking apart low-signature Tech 2 logistics frigates, just like we see the Deacon of Pickles fall already. And it looks like Virican's going to be the next primary.
Yeah, both Navy Brutix down. I love Afterlife right now. They're so smart, ignoring the Balgorn completely, which is exactly what you should do. The only thing the Balgorn can do to you is nuke you, which is painful, yes, but does the Fleet Typhoon actually care? No, it shoots missiles. So no matter how neutered it is, it will keep shooting missiles. Afterlife had a moment of just, I think, quick terror when Psychotic was diving into them. They don't have as much peel, especially when they have a Phobos and a Balgorn on Psychotic. But Psychotic caught a Fleet Typhoon, possibly one of the worst things that they can get at when they really wanted to go for that Guardian. The thing is when you have 2-point Cruors, Afterlife being very smart, sinking only 2 points into a Cruor, that nice long web, while Psychotic Tendencies, instead of going for that nice Tech 2 Logi and maybe a little bit more fleshed out support wing, opts for a Phobos again, which has proven to be nice in catching a Fleet Typhoon, but that's not the target they needed, and now it's just a waste of points, and Afterlife is playing this perfectly.
Yeah, you could see that the Cruor and some of the other support ships were putting webs onto the Enyos and some of the Brutuxes in the second line. What this does is it prevents them from getting on top of the Guardian and destroying that Guardian. If the Guardian is able to survive longer, the more damage that Psychotic Tendencies loses as they bleed Phoboses and Brutuxes means that they can't actually break anything on Afterlife. Afterlife had a bit of, as Chester was saying, a moment of terror, but they were able to withstand the initial burst damage, and once they were able to do that, they could snowball the match.
Yeah, I think if they would have caught the Guardian straight off, it would have been like a pucker factor 10 moment. But I think a Typhoon, they're very happy with that. If I was Flaffy, I mean, initially I'm a little annoyed that I'm scrammed at 37k, but seeing that my tank is holding and my Guardian piloted by Hugh Lightbender playing very well outside of the Balgorn, and with the extra long optimal that armor reps give you, he's totally fine. It's a big misconception that big ships are the key in Alliance tournaments, and it's wrong, because these small ships on Afterlife, the Cruor, the Confessors, the Zwippel, those are the ships putting in the work to make sure that the big ships actually can do their jobs of applying the damage and allowing that damage, to have some effect. Psychotic Tendencies didn't have that. 2 Enyos isn't enough. A Balgorn, while nice, it can't chase things down if it gets held down by a 6-point Confessor. And in this meta, this Blood Raider heavy meta, not choosing a 2-point Cruor and instead going for a Phobos is a bad call.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Chester knows better than Psychotic Tendencies.
Oh, damn, high praise. Maud, take us home. What's going on back at the studio?
Back at the studio, I think we've got Jintan rocking.